You're all invited to go fucking mental on this motherfucking drop. The countdown has just begun. Are you ready? Let's go. Now we're back from the dead. We're back from the dead.
Hell yeah.
We're back from the dead. Are you ready? Let's go.
Man from the dead.
We're back from the dead.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. It is yours truly, Krystal Leandra, Ghost Girl Diaries podcast, and those are for those of you that are brave enough to join the circle. It's my first day talking today. I am here with Eilfie. I can't wait to chat about our topics today. It is all kinds of interesting things. I know a lot of you guys know about Skinwalkers. There's other native lore, and that includes stuff like the Windigo, and it seems like every tribe or like specific tribes have something like similar of the cryptozoology character, so it's going to be kind of interesting to dive into that. I just wanted to tell you really quickly though how much I appreciate you guys for my book launch. I had no idea it was going to go so well, and I just wanted to give you guys a shout out. I actually got notification yesterday that the sales for the first week were so great that Barnes & Noble and a few other major books chains picked my book up to put it on their website, and they should be having some in stock in stores soon. So that's just crazy. Like, I was not expecting that. They kind of tell you as a first time author or self-publisher not to expect it to go into like a major chain, because they don't know your work. They don't know how well it's going to do. But it's from my understanding, they sort of see the analytics on the back side of releasing the book. And when they see the analytics that are so good, like you guys supporting me, buying the book, they were really impressed. And that's why they picked the book up. I actually got a phone call from one of my exes who's in the book. He's one of the chapters in the book. He's been a longtime friend and like supporter all these years. And he called me yesterday and he's like, dude, your book is on Barnes & Noble. And I was like, what? Like, I was literally like in shock. He's like, dude, I'm gonna send you a screenshot like right now. Like, I'm dead serious. And I was like, okay. So he sent me the screenshot, and I ended up getting the email of the confirmation that it did in fact go to major bookstores. So thank you guys for just, not only buying the book, but just being my supporters all these years, because it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. As you guys know, like, going from like being like banned on YouTube and then coming back, and like, we're obviously all been in such chaos with 2020 and coming out of that chaos. So it's just, I'm really appreciative. So I'm also appreciative of somebody else that's about to step in And Eilfie's in the house. Okay, hello, Miss Eilfie. How are you? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I was like,
wait, what's going on?
I know. Skinwalkers.
Oh.
Are you excited for this?
Yeah, I'm excited. Also, by the way, congratulations on hearing that about the book and how well the sales are going.
Thank you. Yeah, really shocking, right? Like, so, and then I was in so much shock when it happened. If you want to hear a funny story. So I called Kat while I was driving and I was on FaceTime. Kat was the first person I called. I called her and I was literally screaming at the top of my lungs. I lost my voice. And I'm driving on FaceTime, which by the way isn't safe. But I had my
Yeah, we don't recommend that.
don't do that. Just for anybody that's watching. But then I got home and Kat called me back on FaceTime. And I was literally just like in shock. Like I literally couldn't even do anything. I was like sitting there like in shock. And so she's like, Krystal, I just Googled it and I found it on Barnes and Noble. And like on FaceTime, Kat literally like shows me the website. It was just ridiculous. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm very, very appreciative. I had no idea. I think people were interested in my book because like I've never really brought my personal life out in the public, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I think people were curious about it because I've always been so sort of quiet. And I mean, I'm going to continue to stay quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to spill any tea on that. Is your cat knocking stuff over again?
No. It was my heater. It's like, oh my God, let's not have that noise. It's a little cold here.
I know. What is it like? Because Kat's getting, I think she said it was 19 there today.
Probably in the 30s. It's probably going to dip down even lower, and then we're supposed to get more snow this weekend too. So it's like, yay, winter.
No, I would die. I'm sitting here complaining when it's like 40 degrees in the desert. You know what I mean?
God.
Like, have you been to Vegas before?
A long time ago.
Was it?
Very long time ago. I think it was during I think it was around the end of the summer maybe. So it wasn't yet. It was starting to chill at night, but it wasn't like ungodly. Right. Hot day.
Oh yeah, don't come here like August, September. Like just don't. Just don't.
I would melt. I just be a puddle on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't start to cool down in Vegas until like honestly October. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. And like I mean June can get a little, you know, saucy, I like to say. Like it can get a little humid, you know, like June, July, but like August, I mean, just don't, you know?
Just forget about it.
No, just don't. Like people walk from their cars inside the house, like air conditioning, 110 degrees. Of course, Phoenix is worse. Like I have friends in Arizona and it's literally like 125 degrees down there in the summer. And I'm like,
and I've heard the warnings, like, don't go out there, just stay inside, don't.
Yeah, they literally can cook, like, meat patties on their dashboard, like,
oh God,
of their car. Like, like, that's how hot it is. Like, no. So, where did I even get the idea for Skinwalkers? Okay, I got this idea because I ordered 2 native books. I have them right here. Do you guys want to see them?
Okay.
I'm in the process of reading them, so I'm not done. But I have 2 native lore books. One is called American Indian Ghost Stories of the West. So this is one. Ooh. And then this one's called Native American Ghost Stories. And obviously you guys know I'm very proud to be Cherokee and all that jazz. And it's a huge, big thing. Like, Skinwalkers, like, don't mock a Native American when they're an indigenous person when they're talking about a Skinwalker. Because, like, they think if you mock them or, like, make fun of it, like, you're going to get eaten by the Skinwalker. So, like, not their problem. You know what I mean? Like, and we've seen this on episodes of, like, I think Ghost Adventures did one, and there was a couple. I think Josh Gates did one on, like, the Skinwalker, too. And these people take it dead serious. Like, you don't want to joke. Like, generally speaking, do you think they exist?
I think they do. I mean, actually, I find it very fascinating the fact that it's very difficult to have people even talk about it from the culture and everything because it's such, like you said, it's such a serious thing that it's like you don't mess with that and everything. So it really does feel like there is some validity that if it's not even a matter of like a boogeyman thing. It's more like, no, really, don't mess with that.
Yeah, when Ghost Adventures did their episode, I think they went to Skinwalker Ranch. I'm sorry, my allergies are really bad, so excuse me for my little, like, that I have going on. It's not Corona. Don't worry. I'm safe, okay? I've been quarantining, I promise. But, like, literally. So he was trying to interview people about the Skinwalker, if you guys remember that episode, and literally he couldn't get anybody to talk to him because they're like, if you believed, you wouldn't be asking about it. If you believed, you wouldn't be here looking for it. And so I did a video on the Skinwalkers, and what I did was I have one of my girlfriends, I'm not going to say what tribe she's from because I don't want her to get in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to find out who it was, but she is a southwestern tribe. I'll say that. I'll say a southwestern tribe. And I had asked her about Skinwalker. Now, technically, she is allowed to speak to me about it because I'm Native American, right? So what she basically said to me was, yeah, you and I can discuss it because you're Native, but understand that when you get this knowledge or you know about it, like, there's a chance, like, if you expose it to the public, it will come for you, is basically what she said. And that's reiteration of what happened in the Ghost Adventures episode. Same thing, was like, we can't tell you or your life will be in danger. And he was asking everybody, just somebody tell you about the Skinwalker. It's like, no, if you believed in it, you wouldn't ask and you'd already know. So when I did talk to my girlfriend, Tori, they do believe it exists. Like, it is a legit thing. There's a lot of different variations. Eilfie and I were kind of chatting about this before the stream. Every tribe sort of has a different version of the Skinwalker. The Windigo is sort of another form of it. There's a lot of different theories depending on the tribe that you're looking at. So some of the tribes believe that it could be an alien crypto character that was sent here to sort of watch over the tribe. And if anybody steps out of line, the Windigo or the Skinwalker will, like, take care of it, quote unquote, by, like, eating it or removing or killing or whatever. So some tribes look at it as protective. Other tribes look at it as an actual crypto character, like, living in the forests of these tribes. And, like, don't turn against the Windigo or the Skinwalker or it'll kill you, period. Don't hunt it. Don't go looking for it. But you do think of things like innocently, like, there's got to be natives that go, like, hiking on the reservations, because usually the reses are very large. So do people that go hiking accidentally stumble upon it and then get eaten? Possibly. I mean, it could happen.
It sounds like almost a lot of the times when shows have done it and they look at you going like, why are you looking for that?
Right.
Why are you going towards it?
Why do you want to find the Skinwalker, right? Like, literally. Eilfie, what's your opinion on cryptozoology in general? So, like, what are your feelings on, generally speaking, of course, of, like, Loch Ness Monster and Mothman and Bigfoot? What are just your general opinions on it?
Oh, I'm absolutely fascinated with crypto and everything. I'm not as well versed in it, but I think it's an interesting topic where I feel like it's a lot of times it sometimes ends up being the catch-all of, like, these creatures that we're not sure whether they are just extinct species that have come back, supernatural creatures, or creatures that we have not been able to actually record and everything that are just undiscovered and everything. I think crypto ends up being that kind of catch-all until we can parse it out to figure out what it is. But it is also interesting when some of the cryptos seem to, like, tick off all of the things where it's like, well, it could be an extinct creature that might be supernatural, and we just haven't been able to discover it yet.
Right. Well, yeah, like, there's Mothman. Like, didn't you go investigate Mothman?
Yes. I
am so jealous. I am so effing jealous. Like, it's not even funny. Because, like, that is my ultimate
dream. You wouldn't
dream.
be if you were in the cold out there.
No, so what happened? Like, was the cold was just like, okay, this is enough. Like, I hate the weather. I can't even focus. Because I've been in those cases before.
Well, we went to the TNT fields and everything. We actually went into one of those, I think they call them, like, the domes and whatnot. Which
yes.
were the places where they would store the TNT and whatever else military stuff. And it was like the domes themselves is freezing because it's this empty, like, stone structure.
It's
but
just
then again, we're also cold. Like in Yeah, but
Mhm.
also we're in the woods with the tall grass and everything out in the middle of nowhere, which was probably
See,
like,
I've been in those cases where like the environment is so miserable that you don't even care if Mothman like walks up to you. Like I am so cold and miserable. I don't give a shit if Mothman's here or not. You know what I mean? Like, is that what it was like?
it was fun. Like I
Right.
really enjoyed like exploring. Like I would totally go back there in a heartbeat just to
Were
go
you
back
scared
to the
with
fields
the
and
mine
other
thing?
places.
Like possibly like there could be mines or whatever, or not really?
Luckily, I don't think we went to any of the areas where there was. I think this was the storage and everything, so I don't think there was any worry of actual like active stuff
Right.
in there. It was just more like cold, cold.
She's like, let
stone.
me reiterate, it was effing cold, okay? Like it was
Like
so
it was
cold.
fine for the first hour, and then after a while, we're like sitting there, our teeth are chattering as we're trying to do an EVP section. Like
Why
this
am
is
I
not going
laughing?
to turn out so well.
Because I've been there. I've been there. And you're like, I went to this place in Colorado. It was outside. It's very haunted. It's like, I mean, it's crazy haunted. Like, we got some really good evidence. The pilot's on my YouTube channel. But it was so cold. I was like, I just don't care. Like, I just don't care. And, like, you're, like, trying to talk. And you're like, I'm going to do a voiceover. And I'm going to do, like, intro in the microphone. And you're trying to talk. You're like, I'm so cold. Like, literally. Okay.
Like,
That's
look,
cool.
miss. No, that's my breath. I'm freezing right now. That is just my breath.
That is not an apparition, guys. That is just my breath from the cold air, okay? Like,
That might be my spirit leaving my body. We don't know yet.
Oh my god, because I've been there. That's why I'm, like, literally crying, because, like, I've been there. Like, I know what it feels like. People think paranormal, and especially crypto. That's why I don't do crypto, because crypto's hard, man. Like, you're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I admire Josh Gates because I could never be him. Because
Oh, I love the outdoors, but he goes hardcore with some of the outdoors.
God, he does.
I've gone camping, I've gone hiking and everything, but he's another level.
he is. He's like, we had to take 6 planes to get to this little island off the coast of Indonesia.
God.
And you're like, and imagine all the gear. Like, when you see, like, I don't think you guys watching, Eilfie and I know, like, production
Oh, the
gear.
production.
It's not a joke. Like, you're talking, like, 30 bags or more of like, heavy-ass production gear. And, like, they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're gonna hike in to look for Mothman. It's only 6 miles in, and I'm gonna need everybody to help carry the luggage. And you're like, I don't want to. Like, 2 miles in, you're fine, and then you're like, I'm going to die, and it's cold.
And you know for sure that the 6 planes to get to the little island was the 6 little tin cans
Oh yeah,
planes that are like you hope that will
and
stay
they're
in the
not up
air.
to code. It's the planes that are not up to code by American standards whatsoever. And you're like, well, and
What's that noise? Oh, never mind.
it's just the wing flapping on the outside. It's done that for
It's
10
okay.
years.
Get more duct tape, it'll be fine.
We're sick. Why are we laughing? Because it's so true. It's why the production companies have insurance on us, guys. That's all I'm saying. Like, literally. Now, as far as the crypto characters go, Mothman's probably one of my favorites. And then, honestly, Skinwalkers have probably a close second. And it's only because, I mean, it's probably connected to me being Native American, just because I do find it, like, very, very creepy. So, now, the term Skinwalker directly is connected to the Navajo Nation, which is where Skinwalker Ranch is. That's where you guys have seen, like, the southwestern side of what a Skinwalker is to them, to that tribe, okay? I had some people asking questions, too, on my last video about the reservations, so I thought I would kind of just lightly touch on that, okay? So, you know, hundreds of years ago, when the native land was taken from the tribes, they were forced onto what's called reservations, okay? So there were treaties, which is basically an agreement, a legal agreement, that are not respected still to this day, might I add. But the treaties were signed by the government, which was the old white men farts that came in and took over the land.
Sorry.
Because it's true, you know? Like, I'm sorry, but... So they basically...
You know, the joy of manifest destiny.
Eilfie's like, yeah, that's great. No, but so they have these reservations, and on these reservations, they sort of created a city within a city is the way to explain it. So they can be quite large. Some can be small. Depends on the tribe. There's literally probably 100 or more tribes throughout America and North America that people don't even know about, okay? Cherokee Nation, which is what I'm through, which is through Oklahoma, is very large. In fact, they were just given more land through more treaties through the government, which I think is amazing. But on these tribes, they on the reservations, you create this like city within a city. So they have gas stations, they have stores, they have it's like a city within a city. Literally, anybody can go on to the reservation. But when you're talking about something like what Ghost Adventures did, was they went in, they asked questions, they went into the museums, they wanted to do like actual interviews with people regarding the Skinwalkers. That's when they're going to shut communication down. And that's because like the tribes, the way they feel is that, and I agree with them to a certain point. I do agree with them, which is, they've already had so much taken from them. Like they were here first. They've already had so much taken from them. The last thing they need is for somebody to come in, do a story or an interview on the Skinwalker and essentially make a mockery out of the tribe, right? Like that could happen. You look at people who are skeptics or people that don't believe in it, and they don't want to be made fun of or made to become a mockery. So, and then also they look at the Skinwalkers or these creatures as, I don't want to say beings that they worship, because that's not it, but they have a healthy respect for it. And they don't want other people to come in and be disrespectful. And if that person leaves, now the Skinwalker is going to take, the aftermath out on the tribe. Does that make sense? Like, and when you're talking about a tribe, I'm not talking like, some tribes are small, like a few hundred, but there could be, I think Navajo Nation's in the thousands, much like Cherokee Nation is. So that's where, I hope that's clear. I hope that's clear on what a reservation is. Anybody can go to a reservation. You just you should be respectful, absolutely, because it's interesting because reservations work within their own laws. And reservations usually have their own police station, their own prisons, they literally just govern themselves in a way. And that was sort of the agreement when the treaties were drawn for each of the reservations to have their own places and unique situations, because they felt like their land was taken away. So the trade-off is, this is my property, this is hundreds of thousands of acres, right? So that should explain what the reservation is like. Now, not the whole reservation. It might be huge. It could be hundreds of thousands of acres, but it's not going to be completely inhabited by their people. The reservations are much like cities where all the people are going to live together. So there's going to be acres and acres of other land that's just nothingness, wilderness. And that's
isn't it usually really spread out sometimes? Like your neighbor could be next 10 miles away or something.
Sometimes. There's a reservation downtown in Vegas I've been to, actually. I can't remember which tribe it is. But it's fairly small, but it's also literally in the heart of Vegas. But then they have other properties of connected reservations. Like, if you ever wanted to get married in Vegas, there's a Native American... This same tribe, the Native American... it's like a reservation that's a little north of Vegas, and it's got, it's gorgeous. Just, if you ever wanted to get married in Vegas, look for the reservation part of, whatever tribe it is. They have, a venue. It's beautiful. And it's actually not very expensive. I think for, 150 people, all-inclusive, it's, $8,000, which is really cheap for, a full-blown wedding. So, anyway, yeah, there's a lot of perks when you are Native American. So, I can go to the tribes and, I can actually get free healthcare through all of the tribes just for being, as much blood as I have. But once again, talking with Tori, my girlfriend, who is of the Southwest tribes, she's telling me about Skinwalkers, and she's basically saying, don't be surprised if it comes knocking on your door. And she meant it. And she didn't mean it to, be offended, trying to, scare me. She meant it actually the Skinwalker is now going to know what you are, because they believe in energetic cords, right? So she's energetically passing this information on to me, saying, now it's connected to you. So now it's been extended to you. So I've been sitting here for, a hot minute waiting for the Skinwalker. I shouldn't say that. That's not funny. God, Krystal, it's horrible. I'm sorry. But seriously, what do you want? Where should we go with Skinwalkers? So there's two different versions of Skinwalkers. One where it can... both of them sort of mutate into, animals. So sometimes they'll look like deer, sometimes they'll look like moose, sometimes they'll look like cougars. Some of them...
well, I can understand her fear of it, just because, it can look at you if it's in, human form, and it's got you. Just from a look.
Yeah.
It's got you. You're done.
You're done. So some of them will just kill to kill. Others are cannibalistic.
Mm.
So Eilfie made a joke earlier. She was like, hey guys, welcome back to the stream. Today we're going to talk about cannibalism. Like, literally, it's sick. Why are we laughing, Eilfie?
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's, guys. Welcome to the Cannibal Podcast. Okay, so
I think it's because it's so dark. It in a lot of ways it's so dark. It's like you kind of have to joke just so it's not like, oh my goodness, this is like some dark stuff here.
That's why I make a lot of jokes, I think, with paranormal, because I feel like, I mean, I don't know, Aaron Goodwin's like goofy, where I'm like just more of the jokester, but I feel like it can get serious when you're investigating, you know what I mean? Like, it can, and I've had those moments where I'm very serious, but I've also noticed that when you're investigating, no matter what it is, you tend to get more evidence when you're like just including them as part of the conversation and like laughing and making jokes. They tend to really like that. So of course, my personality, I can't take a lot of things serious, you know. I've got to have that little zinger in there.
Some of my best evidence, honestly, or some of the best stuff I've encountered was when we weren't investigating, when we were just in the space, talking, interacting with the space. Suddenly something would happen. It's like, oh, something wants to talk now.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm going to be releasing the pilot this week, hopefully in the next couple of days on YouTube, which is the most recent pilot I did about 2 years ago. And there's one part I cut Kat out because she's like, it was getting dark. Like, it was just, you know when the energy turns and suddenly you're just like, oh, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
There's like a demon that just came in. I guess we shouldn't laugh anymore, you know? Like, it was that sort of energy. Like, let's not laugh at Satan. Like, he gets offended easily, you know? And so Chanel and I are like, you know, really investigating, trying to like get this going. And we ask Kat to come in because Kat is very like, I'm sorry, Kat, are you on? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. She's very like, she is the baby witch, you know. She's very of the light. She doesn't want to do anything bad. She just loves everybody, including demons, you know. Like, that's just who she is. And so she walks in the room and she feels this like really predominant like dark energy. She just like, she looks at us. She's like, here's the equipment, guys. I gotta go. And she like does a 360 and just like walks out the room. And we're like, Kat, do you want to like come back or no? She's like, nope, I'm good. I was like, okay, I'm glad. It's fine. So I get it, you know, like it's that energy that you feel. Did you feel like, when I was reading about the Skinwalkers, I felt the energy. Like, can you empath through it from reading the information?
Well, what was interesting, I couldn't really empath through it. It was just more like reading the stories and reading, like, reading the legends and everything, and it would definitely make me more curious to actually go on the reservation, actually talk to people. But the thing is, I could see where ghost hunters, where like you just roll up and start like talking, asking them questions, and of course they're going to just close up because it's like, we don't know you, we're not going to talk to you. So maybe if they got to know people and actually interacted with them instead of just rolling up with a camera, they might have gotten more information.
Right.
But the legends themselves, it was always fascinating where they talked about, sometimes it started off as a person who was a medicine, a healer, and then they never said quite what would happen, but for some reason, like, something would happen in their life and they would have to do a bad thing and they flip from a healer to something darker. It was almost
like a mystical energetic shift rather than like a physical energetic shift, is what Eilfie's saying. So sort of like, rather than you being like, oh, I walked outside and I did something bad and got attacked by the Skinwalker, like physically, like it like chopped my foot off, let's just say that. Instead, it was like, no, there was like this darkness that changed in me, and I like shifted paths in my life to like a darker sort of path. So it's interesting. In other words, it sort of affects people at all different ways. So let's go ahead and start diving into the Navajo side of this, which is where the Skinwalker comes in from. So I have my notes here. So There is, and I'm not familiar with other tribes. So I am familiar with like Cherokee and like my indigenous heritage, but I am not familiar with other tribes. So the only thing I know about other tribes is I can either call my friends that are in tribes or like doing research about it. So Navajo is not my tribe. I'm not familiar with it. So I only know from what I've researched. So they actually do believe in not only medicine men of Navajo, but then there's medicine witches. So once again, referring back to the Ghost Adventures episode, they thought there were like witches' resin that had been left over in that cave. Do you guys remember that? And they thought that these Navajo witches were like summoning stuff inside of the cave or trying to pull forth the Navajo Skinwalker. And sometimes they'll even give it offerings like a live chicken or even a dead chicken. And they're trying to like lure it out. I mean, essentially to me, I don't know how you read it, Eilfie, but it's like black magic. Are you there?
Yeah, I was losing you there for a moment.
That's weird. It's because I said black magic. Just kidding. I said the Navajo witches are essentially talking about how it's like black magic, is that they're sort of using the Skinwalker to their advantage to do sort of like dark practices. Is that what you kind of read into it?
Well, that's what I found interesting was this idea of like the Skinwalker is usually a person who is a shapeshifter who has turned to the darker side, who is now more of a trickster and it caused her trouble and all various degrees of things. And the idea of then someone else utilizing the Skinwalker sounds, even to me, even more dangerous, because you have a trickster who is going to do whatever they want, and then you're hoping that they're going to do as you say.
It's sort of like a shapeshifter. Sort of like a shapeshifter, is that either you can become that shapeshifter or you can summon in the shapeshifter to like sort of... Mm-hmm. But what's the word I'm looking for? I guess aid you in your dark magic practices. I'm not really sure how to word it. I guess if that sounds right. Now, shape-shifting, once again, like referring back to the beginning, which is what a skinwalker is. So they'll appear to you, generally speaking, as in human form, but they can shape-shift into other things. Looking on the internet, it looks like wolves are one of the major ones, or like cougars, or like bobcats sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, basically, it was the idea was the taboo. It was the idea that it was taboo to eat anything that was a carnivore. Anything that also ate meat
could
was,
attack
I guess,
you.
Considered. Yeah, that could attack, was considered taboo to eat as well. So that was the idea where if you took on that skin of that carnivore, that was one of the, I guess, gateways to become one of the shapeshifters.
Yes, so like you don't hunt. So, and hunting is still a big thing in tribes, just so everybody knows, and understand that when tribes, and I know like Eilfie's vegan, and I would never, and I've had my moments of being vegan and not being vegan, and understand that when tribes use it, like even my grandmother, she would teach me, when you use an animal for like meat or to like feed the tribe, they use the whole animal. So they use the skin for the people, the bones are usually used for like weapons, and sometimes they still do that to this day. They'll even use the bones and create jewelry out of them or things like that for the tribe. So in my opinion, it would be better to use the animals on the land to feed the people and use the whole animal versus like a sport where you're just going to kill, you know, like, and you do nothing with that animal. So I can support it more on the side of it's been in my indigenous heritage for literally like ever, literally. But one thing you don't do is you don't kill certain animals. Wolves are like very sacred to native indigenous tribes, not all, but some. And like there's other animals that are respected, like cougars, bobcats, certain things like that. And the reason they look at those, remember, like, indigenous heritage is extremely spiritual, guys. Like, extreme. Like, I wish my grandma was still here, because I think you guys would be fascinated just to, like, listen to her talk about it. Because spiritualism in the Cherokee heritage was, you, like, look at each animal as a gift from God or a gift from, like, the greater, you know? And, like, even if it's a bobcat or it's a beautiful wild creature, and, like, you don't fuck with it because that's God's creature sort of thing. And, like, don't kill it, don't hurt it, don't harm it, don't hunt for sport. That is God's creature, like we are. We have it's very, like, very, 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 very spiritual. Now, on the other side, you're also incorporating things like these crypto characters like Skinwalkers, who are coming in as wolves, cougars, bobcats, more vicious carnivore animals. And people are like, don't kill it. And that's the lore behind it, because if it is the Skinwalker, it will either kill you or you will become the next Skinwalker, is sort of how, like, the tiara is passed. Is that a good way of explaining it, Eilfie?
I think it's one of those things where I can definitely agree where it's like, it's one thing to hunt for food and to use all of it. It's another thing to hunt for sport, because then it's considered waste, and that's probably why they wouldn't hunt the animals, the carnivore animals, because also I can see where it could be a balancing where these animals also help with population control of the herbivores and everything. So don't go after those. And also it's like, you don't eat them, so why would you hunt them? Mm-hmm. And I could see where it's maybe also, this might be where sometimes I think we've oversimplified it, where it's a more of a balancing of nature, where there's always a chaos and order. And even though we're not sure what, the Skinwalker might be the balancing to the order of nature. So don't mess with it
for other reasons either, because it's balance. Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of reasons you wouldn't want to mess with the Skinwalker. Maybe he's trying to create balance within the environment of the tribe, or, like, you know, on the reservation. Somebody said, I doubt there are a lot of indigenous vegans. Actually, my grandmother speaks of some of her family on the reservation being vegetarian. It was very, you can definitely be vegetarian and be indigenous, 100%. Berries were a big thing. On the trails and stuff like that, and incorporating lots of vegetables that were grown. So yes, it's absolutely possible. Remember, medicine men are still a big thing on the tribes, and the medicine men, like, can create not only medications out of, like, holistic, what we know as holistic. Modernism sees it as holistic. To them, it's just medicine. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. But with that being said, you can the medicine men would also create certain recipes, because they would know what vegetables or things went together, or, like, fruits went together. So they could create, because holistic, once again, you're talking about things that are made from the land. So they could create recipes through, like, holistic practices. It's really interesting if you look into it. Like, it can get really deep. But, so yes, it is possible. So now going back to the Navajo Witches, Skinwalkers. So this is basically like a cultural belief, cultural value. And it's, like, extremely respected by everybody, especially, like, who are considered the community healers of the group, which would be, once again, every tribe may not call the medicine men. That might be an older word for it. It may not be a current, like, modern name for them, but they do have holistic healers that are on the res. They also do have regular doctors now, because we are, in this new century. I told you guys I can get free health care on any reservation. But it's very, very respected. Now, if you're talking about a Skinwalker being in downtown Vegas on that reservation, I don't think so. We're talking about more rural locations, so don't automatically assume that if there's a reservation, there's a Skinwalker on the res. So, the reservation. And they
probably wouldn't even talk about it if there was.
Well, and you really it's actually considered disrespectful if you're going on to into an indigenous community. You don't go in and be like, hey, everybody, I just want to know if there was a Skinwalker around. Like, you just don't do that, Like, now
that's probably not the first thing you want to come out with when you're, like, trying to introduce yourself.
Exactly. But it is interesting, because if you want my opinion on, like, if I were to go investigate the Skinwalker versus Ghost Adventures, because I am, like, I have what's called a blue card, which proves that my family, It proves my genealogy, essentially, of my family being on the Trail of Tears, okay? Not everybody has a blue card. Like, you have to have... Your family went through some shit, is basically what it says. Like, your family survived genocide, and I have one of those cards. So I bet that if Ghost Girl Diaries went to investigate the Skinwalker, we would get more information with me as the host, for sure.
Well, also, I would think, too, like, I feel like this would be something you want to do, like, almost 6 months to a year of pre-production of just talking to people, getting to know them, and trying to better understand and also show them that you mean great respect for it, because I think that might have been the problem, was people outside community have just seen one aspect of the Skinwalker, and they just like they already feel like we can tell you all this stuff, but you're just going to look at it as like a big bad thing and just oversimplify it. And
Not
that might
only
be
the
why they just
Skinwalker
went,
needs
nope.
to be respected, but we as a community of people need to be respected.
Yeah.
And it needs to be grown into like a trust aspect is sort of what Eilfie's saying. And I agree 100%. Like you would need to build that trust over time. And to be honest, if I didn't do it the correct way, like if Ghost Girl Diaries went to investigate Skinwalkers, I would be disrespecting my heritage. And my grandma's strong, okay? Like my grandma, her energy, like she's still around. She doesn't mess around. She lets you know when she's here. And my grandmother would come and she would slap me in the face if I did something to disrespect indigenous people. So I wouldn't be able to do it incorrectly. But once again, like you're saying, Eilfie, why wouldn't you want to do it the right way? Even if it does take time. Because you're going to get more viable information on whatever it is that you're seeking. They just don't want someone coming in and being like, oh, I heard there was a cannibalistic shapeshifter in your backyard. Can I meet him? Right? I mean, like, that's not
really.
how this works. Like, that's not how this works. You already sound like you're sort of disrespecting the tribe.
I mean, there was this clip I saw. I think it was a clip from the whole Skinwalker Ranch show or something, and they had brought on someone to do a prayer and everything, to give offering tobacco and whatnot. And he's like, okay, and he does his thing. He gives offering tobacco, and then he turns to them, going like, I hope you guys are praying too, because you're the ones doing this, not me. And it was just very interesting. He looked at him like, okay, I'm going to do this, but ultimately this is your problem, not mine.
Wow. Which, is kind of well, okay, let's go off of that for a second then, because I feel like that's pretty funny. Okay, did you watch the Ghost Adventures episode when they took the like edible from the medicine woman?
What?
You didn't see that?
No, I did not see that.
Okay.
Or it's been a while.
The
Wait,
medicine
they took edibles.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Jeez, I can't breathe. I'm sorry. So the medicine woman is there. Okay, she's doing like this. It's a very spiritual thing. Once again, it's a ritual. She's doing like it's very. I mean, although it's spiritual on the side of indigenous people, it's also very like witchcraft, like straight up. You know what I mean? Like, so she's doing kind of like this spell, like a protection prayer over them to like keep them safe, so like the Skinwalker doesn't eat them. Is basically they're participating in, and they gave all of the guys this like edible, okay, and she was like, they were like, what is it? And she's like, it's just medicine, like from the medicine man, like it's medicine. So okay, I am indigenous and I would know better not to ever take someone from indigenous on, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, don't do that.
No, what is it? Like, I need to know what it is.
It's just medicine. You define medicine.
No, it ended up being a hallucinogenic, Eilfie.
Oh, you'll see all sorts of things now. Skinwalker and all.
So they're in the car and they're like laughing. Apparently they said they were in the car for like 4 hours and their whole face is like morphing and like they just think everything's hilarious. So anyway, that's like taking like way too much mugwort. Never take too much mugwort. You're gonna start hallucinating.
How much did they take?
I don't even know what it was. Well, they said what it was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do remember.
I feel like part of it was probably very sacred, and then the other part of it is like, we're just going to mess with them now.
I think, from my opinion, I think they gave it to them hoping they would pass out and not go look for the Skinwalker. That's what I think they did. I do. Mm-hmm.
We're going to save you from yourself.
Yeah.
Here you go.
We don't want you to end up dead on a reservation and then we have a lawsuit. So we're going to give you a hallucinogenic with fingers crossed that you pass out for the next 2 days and then you'll go home and you won't remember passing out, like literally.
Actually, that's probably a pretty good theory right there. Mm-hmm. I probably would not be surprised. They're like, we don't want you dying on here, so we're just going to do this.
We don't want to be responsible for your body on our reservation, so just here's some drugs. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay, so if you're calling yourself like a Navajo witch, you are seen as evil, and then there have been some, quote, Navajo witches that are known to portray in like twisted ceremonies and like using dark magic, like bad medicine, dark magic. And once again, remember what I said earlier about the indigenous people being very spiritual when it comes to animals. I feel the same way. Like, I would never, ever participate in something where they were, killing an animal or giving an animal over as a sacrifice. Like, I would never, because that's just not respectful of my heritage. And that's how these people feel. If there are dark witches, which they say that there are, that practice in the Navajo tribe, they're doing things that are completely against their cultural norms, which is like offering a live chicken to the skinwalker, or offering, in the mind of an indigenous person who's very spiritual, you wouldn't leave a chicken tied up by its neck outside where it couldn't get away for a predator to get it. That's not like the indigenous way. And also, might I add that when indigenous do kill animals for, like, or if it's hunting or whatever, for their meals, they give like a serious thanks. Like, it is very Avatar. Did you ever watch the movie Avatar, Eilfie?
Mm-hmm.
When they hunted the animal, they were like, thank the animal for giving its body to the tribe, and they thank like the gods for giving it to the tribe. Same thing. So if you have tribe members going out sacrificing animals, it's a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a big no-no. So what I'm saying is if anyone out there is in the Navajo Nation practicing dark magic, it is extremely secretive. They're not sharing it with the other tribes because they can be extremely shunned from the tribe for doing that. Which, I don't like sacrifices either. And I know that Eilfie doesn't if she's vegan, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, hands down.
Well, I think, okay, there's definitely cultures where there's animal sacrifices that end up with it's eaten and it's food and everything. And they're quick sacrifices too. They don't abuse or torture the animal. It's a very quick thing. So to me, that's usually more, if that's part of the culture, that's fine. It's the abusing or the let's let this linger out that, and you don't utilize the entire animal. That's where I have the problem with.
I know. I agree. I don't like animal abuse at all. I don't like child abuse and animal abuse. That's something I'll punch you in the face for. You know what I mean? Like, just don't even go there with me. Legends of witchcraft. So once again, we're going into the trickster stuff. So it's mostly known as a coyote. Now, another thing, where's my phone at? There is a person who's on, let me see if I can find him. I forgot to look it up before the stream. This guy, lives on a ranch, like, with his family in Arizona, and he has a TikTok account and swears that, here it is, that one cowboy, he swears he's always catching his skinwalker on camera. So, what? Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm going to hold this up for you guys to see. I don't know if you can see it. It's called That One Cowboy. So I'm going to type it out for you guys right now. So go on TikTok and find him, because you guys are going to be obsessed with it. It's called That One Cowboy on TikTok. So it's That #1 Cowboy, all one word. Anyway, he has a ranch in Arizona, and he's always catching the skinwalker on his ranch, and it's amazing. He'll be walking out, like, to get his horses, and it's really quiet, and all of a sudden you'll hear something in the distance, like it's the skinwalker, and it'll be like, hello, and it's pitch black out, and he hears, like, a hello way out there, and I'm like, what is going on? I would love to get in contact with him and see if he'd let us go investigate down there.
That would be fascinating. Well, I mean, what's interesting is, like, when they talk reports of seeing the skinwalker in animal form, it's, to me, that the creepiest part is actually the idea of when you look at it, you look at its eyes, that it has human-like eyes. To me, that's the idea of animal face with human-like eyes, that would really stand out. Like, okay, there's something there.
I totally agree with the statement of the eyes are the window of the soul.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I agree. If I could see... Oh, Kat, please. Kat's like, let's go to Skinwalker Ranch.
I would actually be down for that.
She would not be able to handle it. She'd be like, no, I can't do this. I'm going to stay at home base. And, like, I'll walk you guys and let you know which direction to go. Eilfie, you go north. Krystal, you go south. Bye. Like, literally.
Oh, my God. It's like 512 acres to explore.
Yeah.
of like mountains and open fields and rocks, and I don't know, looking at it, it's like, I think Skinwalker would be probably the least of our concern, because I'd be more worried about like the snakes and wild animals and falling off the side of a cliff.
No, it's true. You wouldn't want to go like gung-ho and not pay attention to what you're doing. You could literally just walk off a cliff, like, actually. But it's interesting because this guy, when he's doing his little investigations, he doesn't even mean to, by the way, but even his horses and his animals react to hearing what he calls the Skinwalker.
Yeah,
And,
because they probably know better.
And that is so cool, because I believe animals' instincts is, like, raw. Like, they know before it happens. You know, like, they say before, like, a tsunami hits or, like, an earthquake, animals have already left the area, and they're literally, like, running out. It's their instincts. Like, they can feel the electromagnetic fields coming up from the earth. Like, they know. Like, they only know to trust their intuition. You know, like, animal communication is so different from humans, where, like, our human brain can get involved and we're like, wait, did that really happen? Where animals are like, oh, no, I trust my instincts. I don't even question it. So it's really interesting to even see. Kat says she's going to crochet the Skinwalker a scarf.
Oh.
Can you imagine seeing a Skinwalker with a scarf? I can't breathe. It's like a cougar on its feet. It's like walking with a scarf tied around its neck. Good cat. That's a good one. Jeez. Ah!
Oh my god.
I'm dead. Okay. I don't even know if I can continue the stream. Like, literally, Jesus. Ah! Oh my god, I'm screaming. Okay. Let's move forward. If I can. I can, because the cat's ridiculous scarf.
There's a picture now.
Oh, I know it is. Okay, another thing we left out. The Skinwalker can possess people. I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, it can like overpower you or take over people.
So I'm
that's why
wondering
it's
if
the whole like don't look into the eyes part.
I'm wondering if that's what like the eyes thing they kept saying like over and over is like just don't look in the eyes, like just if you see it just don't like avoid eye contact at all costs, and it makes you wonder.
Well, they said that it would be like human eyes and animal face, but then when it's human, it has animal eyes and the human face.
Right.
And it's just like, so don't look into the eyes.
So just don't look at it, guys. Look at the chin. Look at its chin and be like,
don't make eye contact.
Something about you just doesn't look right. Like you look like you're a combination here. What do you think about Chupacabra?
Oh, the goat sucker?
Yeah.
That one, I'm not sure what that is. That I've seen some claim footage and pictures, and it just, sometimes it looks like, to me, like some sort of, like, canine with mange or something. I'm not sure what to think of it, honestly, if it's more urban legend than real, but I mean, there's been enough cases of weird stuff and animals being affected.
Kat said, look at its scarf, not its eyes. I'm sorry, I'm just dead.
Look at its scarf.
I'm
Such
screaming.
a great scarf you have.
Wow, that is like so last season. Like, I think you need a new one. You know what I mean? Jeez. No, as far as Chupacabra. Go ahead.
My top crypto right now on my list is like, I want to go back and like investigate Jersey Devil. Like, I want to go back to the Barrens.
Ooh, now that sounds like it would be fun. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
But see, once again, I wouldn't want to go during, like, it needs to be like April or May, where it's not too cold and it's like not too hot out either, you know? Because if it gets too hot, you're going to get a lot of bugs.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's too cold, you're just going to be miserable. So you've got to find that sweet spot of, like, it's like you said, really planning out when and doing pre-production on, like, filming. You know, it needs to be done right. Now, with Chupacabra, my opinion is, because Chupacabra does exist on some native land, like in the south. Normally it's, like, the south side. I think that some pictures people get is literally just coyotes with mange. So, like, I throw those out immediately. Because I'm like, yeah, it looks like a coyote that has mange, guys. Like, just leave the coyote alone. Don't hunt it down and kill it. It's obviously had a hard life. Why don't you help give it a bath instead and release it back into the wild? You know? Like, literally. Now, other ones I've heard of, like, pertaining to Puerto Rico area and even, like, Florida. It'll show up, and it literally does do the goat sucking thing where there's, like, 2 pierced spots in the neck, and then it's gone, and nobody hears about it again for years. So my theory is, I think it could be, like, an extraterrestrial.
Oh, similar to, like, the mangling of the cows and everything, and the weird stuff that they report.
Well, that's even different. Like, with the cow mutilations, I think that's our own government doing it to scare us.
That, to me, that's okay. Of all the UFO stuff, I've always found the whole cow mutilations just the weirdest part of it all. Where it's, and even the Skinwalker Ranch has its own fair share of it, where it's like chunks of the cows left. There's no blood. There's no nothing. It's like it's been gutted and everything, and it's just like, why?
There are
just the why.
What's that documentary, Kat? If you're watching, there's a documentary on Netflix that Kat and I watched. You need to watch it, Eilfie. It's freaking amazing. It's this guy who is a doctor, and he used to, he actually used to work on patients that worked with extraterrestrials, and that's what like made him quit. He literally quit being a doctor. Like, imagine going to med school and then quitting your career, all to focus on like UFO stuff. So anyway, I'll find out the name of it and give it to you. But he swears that the cattle mutilations are our own government doing it. But there was one instance that happened, and I think it was like in the 60s or something, and it was a couple of guys that were walking through the triangle that exists in Alaska.
Okay.
Stephen Greer is the guy that did this video, or this movie that's on Netflix. You need to watch. He's on my social media. If you look up Stephen Greer and follow him, he's amazing. But anyway, there was another case that happened in the 60s, and these guys were hiking through the Alaskan Triangle, and they stumbled upon something similar to like the cattle mutilations, except it was like a circular, it was like a circle. There was like a humpback whale in the middle of the forest that had been like like the same as the cattle mutilations. There had been a couple of cows, like an ox, there was like a bear, there was like some mountain lions, and it had been laid out in a circle. Now, I think that was probably extraterrestrial for sure. But
that's just like, that just sounds strange, like almost like a dumping ground of these mutilated animals.
Yeah, it was like whoever, it was like
humpback whale.
Yeah, it was literally a whale in the middle of the forest. So that creeped me out.
Okay.
Because these guys were like, how the hell did a whale get to the middle of the forest? You know, like what the hell is going on? So there's some things I think are related to unacknowledged. That's what it's called. It's on Netflix. It's called Unacknowledged. Okay. It's so good. Oh my god. It's going to change your perspective on extraterrestrials. It did for me and Kat. But yeah, I do think Chupacabra could be related to being an extraterrestrial. Almost like it comes down to like take the blood of these animals and then it like goes back up, beam me up Scotty style. And like to take the blood back to have it like examined by their species, I guess. Is that what you'd call it?
I mean, it's like they describe them, they would like have a hole in them, and it's like their inside's been taken out and all the blood, and it's like just this husk left in perfect condition with except for the hole and just cleared out and whatnot. And then you had the other ones where it was this almost interdimensional where they talked about how like a portal would literally just open up, something would hop out and just walk away.
Right.
Just randomly, like, here's a portal.
It's well, I mean, you never know. I mean, I do think anything could be possible. Like, I think when you've been in paranormal long enough, it is like kind of one of those things where you're like, anything could happen. Like, anything could happen. Now, on the Skinwalker side too, going back to that for a second, one thing I forgot to mention is the Navajo Nation says that there is usually more than one Skinwalker, and there is usually one that's in charge. And whoever's in charge is basically considered an old man, and it's a very, like, he's very powerful with magic in certain ways.
Okay.
Sort of like you would think of it as, like, I guess, an evil shaman. Is that what you sort of pictured? That's sort of what I pictured.
Hello?
Oh, can you hear me? Almost like somebody, like an evil shaman, like, using their powers for bad. Like, they've learned the like medicine ways of like the tribe, and now they're turning it towards the evil or whatever.
Yeah, and that's what actually, like I said, that's what I found interesting, because it's like you had, most of the time it was people who were healers, who started off as healers and then turned dark, but they never explained like why, because they always talked about there was usually some taboo action they had to do to initiate this whole Skinwalker change, and they never exactly explained like why would someone who started off as a healer suddenly just decide
to go
I'm
dark.
going to do this now,
right?
Like, it's like, because it almost sounded like they had to use like sometimes there was moments where they had to use magic that was darker or far beyond what they normally did, and unfortunately they had to cross this line to do it.
Well, and once again, it's like learning the ways of the tribe and taking that to like an advantage point, I guess, or a disadvantage point where they would use it against each other and against the tribe, which is why it's like such a shameful thing to do, is sort of how I was reading into it. Nikita said that Kat needs to crochet Bigfoot a scarf. For God's sake, you guys, like, Jesus.
All the cryptos get scarves. All of them are going to get scarves.
Kat, I just can't keep up with it. You know what I mean? Why aren't you writing these ideas down, Kat? You should be making scarves with freaking Bigfoot in them and like Chupacabra and shit. Like, you're gonna make money off of this, okay?
That's how everyone will know if Ghost Girl Diaries has done a crypto. If they find the crypto with a scarf, they're like, yep, Ghost Girl Diaries has been here. There is a scarf.
You know what? We care about Bigfoot's fashion too, okay? Like, we can't leave without, you know, Bigfoot having a GGD scarf on, okay? Like, we need people to know you're here.
Here's a gift. Thank you.
How many kids do you have? Kat would like to knit some hats as well, just in case your ears get cold. Like, we have backup plans for you guys. Here's my business card. If you ever need anything, get online.
Well, I mean, there's the little Bigfoots too. They want little like hats and mittens and everything.
Mittens. Oh my God, Bigfoot mittens. Kat, I'm dead. Now another thing that I didn't realize, I didn't really know this, was Skinwalkers have other powers other than like the possession side or like killing you and cannibalizing you. They can also like read your mind control you. They can cause you to have, like, force you to have thoughts and force you to have certain behaviors. They can also cause disease, illness, destroy your life, destroy your property, and then obviously like just death is like impending doom is sort of what they feel is coming.
It sounds to me almost like I said. I think it sounds like similar to what we said earlier about that balancing. It's almost like if you look at a healer, just flip it now on its head, and everything a healer can do, they can do the opposite of that, or the opposite of that now. Instead of causing the good side of it, now they're doing this instead.
Now, another interesting thing that I didn't know about this is regarding the Navajo Nation. The only reason I'm bringing up Navajo Nation so much is because they are the most predominant with the Skinwalker. And once again, if you research this, there's literally, like, the Windigo. Like, there's so many other ones with other nations that you could look up. There's just different variations and versions of it depending on which tribe you're sort of researching. But there was something called the Navajo Witch Purge of 1878. Did you read that part? I found that really interesting.
I don't think I've read that part, no.
And it was where they were talking about how a lot of the Navajo were serving, because there was a series of wars. Obviously, we're talking 1878. We're still having treaty issues. There was a lot of wars that go on. I think you guys are going to find the pilot very interesting because the location that we went to was also on native land. And they also had a war that happened with our own army, with the United States. So I think you'll find it very interesting. But anyway, a lot of the purge happened with the Navajo Witches because they were being sidetracked because there was a war going on. So you had either people that were defending in the war and that were dying, or else people that were having to serve as like aid for the war. And this is all, once again, 1878. So I just found that interesting because you don't realize, like, of course that's going to come into play and affect the longevity of the tribe and how many people are left after the war.
Oh, yeah.
And it also says, like, another reason long-term that it affected the Navajo was after the wars, like, their water was polluted, their crops had failed, there was illness, death, decay, dying, their numbers obviously dramatically decreased. And I think this was one of the wars that happened. It was over the course of, like, 4 years. And then this was around the Four Corners, and then finally, like, their land was sort of relinquished back, which is just crazy. So you don't think about stuff like that affecting... Once again, that could go into the Skinwalker side where they say sometimes the Skinwalker is sort of protecting the people, protecting the reservation, protecting the land, like Eilfie says, bringing balance.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's a lot of trauma that was done. 1864 is not really that long ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's really not.
And like you said, there's still stuff going on even to this day. It's continuous. It sounds like it's a continuous open wound that has not yet fully healed at all.
Okay, so this is another interesting thing. So this matches what this guy, that one cowboy on. You guys gotta follow him. If you're a paranormal lover, you've got to follow him on TikTok. You're gonna love it. So, what they also say is, on the parts of the ranch or parts of the reservation, some people will own livestock and wildlife. And they'll have, like, sheep pens or, like, you know, lamb pens or whatever. Because sometimes they'll still, like, shear sheep and, like, create, God forbid, yarn for cat. You know, things like that, you know? Like, so that she can make Bigfoot, you know, a scarf and some mittens. But they'll be out, like, checking on their sheep pen at night. And then all of a sudden they'll hear, like, laughter coming from the wooded area, which they think is the Skinwalker. And it's completely dark, pitch black on the reservation. Remember, they don't have as much electricity as we do in the cities. So it's pitch black. So you know there's not a person hanging out in the woods at night. Like, who's doing... I mean, there could be some weirdo doing that, you know? Like, maybe it's one of the dark witches. But they'll literally look in the woods and see nothing, but they still hear laughter coming. And once again, like, they or their animals are being stalked by the Skinwalker.
That would be, honestly, that'd be very creepy. Just because, like... Especially if you're out, I've been out in some middle of nowhere places where there is no light pollution whatsoever, and when it is dark, where you cannot see your hand in front of your face, and to suddenly hear laughter out in the distance, I'll be like, we're going inside and locking everything up.
I just wrote his TikTok. It's that one cowboy, number one cowboy in TikTok.
I'm gonna have to
he
check
has
that
like
out.
he has like a super like handlebar mustache, like no joke, like straight up. If you
nice.
See if I can get a picture of it on here. It's kind of blurry, but anyway, yeah, he has like horses and all kinds of cattle and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool. In fact, I have a lot of paranormal TikTokers that I found. So if you go through who I'm following, you'll be able to find some of the haunted ones. I also follow some makeup gurus, so just make sure you look at their profile first. There's another girl on TikTok that she has a haunted doll. Have you seen that, Eilfie?
No, I have not been on TikTok for a while because I fell down the rabbit hole a couple times.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
I need a break from this.
There's a girl on TikTok that talks to her doll, and she like investigates her haunted doll. Which, I mean, even if the doll wasn't haunted, it is now because she's creating it. You know what I mean?
Hey, you putting energy in, you're like charging it up.
And she'll be talking to it, and all of a sudden her door will slam, and I'm like, girl, is it worth the TikTok views? Because I don't think it is. You know, like, anyway.
Unless you have established rules in your own house and everything, it's like, yeah, I might make some rules first.
Yeah, she does dowsing rod discussions with her haunted doll, and I'm like, nope, that's not for me, girl. You get it, boo. So yeah, I guess we could talk about the Windigo, really quickly. I almost said Windigo. Windigo. The Windigo is another version of the folklore spirit, but this one's more along the East Coast, Canada, Great Lakes region of the United States. And it's basically depicted as this malevolent spirit that takes on the characteristics of a human and or being. I mean, to me, it's pretty much exactly like the Skinwalker, except it's just called the Windigo.
Well, this one, I'm actually a little more familiar with the Windigo than the Skinwalker at times, just because I've just heard more stories and everything. And what I find, can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Yeah. There was the difference I noticed between the Windigo and the Skinwalker, even though they do have similar traits, is the Windigo seems to have come out of great, in some ways probably similar, great devastation, like usually cold winter, starvation, and once again cannibalism, but it's usually out of necessity or of breaking the taboo of eating human flesh, and that seems to then generate the Windigo compared to the Skinwalker, where it seems to be someone who's done it purposely, whereas the Windigo is something is done out of a great hardship of winter or starvation to make this happen,
to create it, right?
Yeah.
And the Windigo is sort of more, I mean, when I was looking at pictures, the Windigo, for some reason, is portrayed with antlers. Did you notice that there was a difference?
Yeah, I don't know if that is like something that's a more recent addition to its the folklore of it, because I think there was like a couple of movies or stories that came out like, oh, it has antlers and sharp teeth, and suddenly now all depictions of Wendigos, like, it's got the antlers.
Well, first of all, Nikita said, I have tons of haunted dolls and they love to mess with me in my sleep. That's a no from me. I mean, I have, like, I get energy in the house, but I know it's, like, familiar. I would not be letting demons chill in here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have time for that. And then Kat said that she thinks the Wendigo's angry because it doesn't have a scarf.
Oh, well, I mean, it's even cold. It gets colder for the Windigo than Skinwalker, so it probably would want to use the scarf.
It's true.
It would want that scarf badly.
Yeah, we only need the scarf for, like, Mothman on, like, the East Coast. You know what I mean? Like, we just
God,
the East.
yes.
I'm so jealous. I would love to go investigate crypto. So, in your opinion, would you still be interested in investigating crypto now that we're talking about, like, the Skinwalker and Windigo and all that?
I would still actually I would definitely be down for it. Actually, the things that more unnerved me was like the PK readings and the radiation stuff, and that stuff. I'm like, okay, that makes me slightly nervous.
Right.
But
yeah.
the rest of the crypto stuff, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. See, here's the problem is that I would be that, like, dumb blonde girl that fell in the forest and died and got eaten. Like, did you ever
Like,
see that
don't go
movie
that
with,
way.
like,
What?
where Paris Hilton, like, died and got, like, wasn't it the Wax Museum or whatever it was? The Wax?
Oh, House of Wax.
That would be
yeah.
me. Like, I would trip over my platform shoes and, like, die in the forest. And I'd be like, go
House
on
of Wax-
without me. Just go.
Honestly, also, the total assignment. I think House of Wax was probably showcased for sure. She is so very smart with her career and everything, because she knew everyone would want to see her
Die.
covered in melted wax.
She did an interview not too long ago saying, like, she's not who you guys think she is. You know what I mean? And she's, like,
Oh, yeah.
she's really smart. So, yeah, she created a character and made some money off of it. No complaints. She's smart. She knew what she was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Let me look through here and see if I missed anything else. Kat said there's been sightings of the Windigo in North New Hampshire. It's just another reason for you to move to Vegas, boo.
Yeah, I think it's basically in the cold area. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been sighted along the Appalachian Trail and everything. And it's the idea of just the coldest time is when you might run into it.
Erica said, I follow someone, Shasta, I'm not sure how to say it, on TikTok, and she's a tour guide at the Haunted Museum, and she has haunted dolls at her home that she investigates as well. See, that's just not, I don't know. Am I a weenus for not, like, wanting to investigate in my house? Like, I think I know the power that it holds and, like, what can happen if you do that. Like, Eilfie says, like, she has, like, friendly spirits that live with her, and, like, that's one thing. Like, I know when my family's in, I know when Christian comes to see me, like, that's different. But I'm not about, like, investigating stuff in my house. I'm not about it. I've done it before, and it's caused, like, some serious repercussions, and that's why I put up a serious, you know, bottom line.
Maybe it's the idea of, like, you don't want to take your work home with you, and it's like you want a space where you don't have to worry about something happening.
Well, I have four dogs, and one's, like, you know, kind of elderly now. Diva's older, and they're my kids, and, like, my dogs are extremely sensitive to paranormal activity. Like, they will tell me when something's in the house before I know something's in the house. And I don't want my dogs to be affected. You know, it would be the same if I had kids. Like, I wouldn't want to have kids and have paranormal activity in the house, you know? I look at my dogs like my actual children, so that's why I just, no.
Oh, no, I'm convinced at this point, whenever I go house hunting, I will take my puppy with me, because I know if, like, the puppy does not want to go into the house, I'll be like, anything particularly I should know about the house, because the dog doesn't want to go in.
It's true. Would I investigate other people's houses? Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm talking about, like, the TikTokers, like, the people that are on TikTok that are, like, at home, like, constantly investigating. Like, I'm a Taurus. I like my sleep, man. You know? Like,
well, there's the TikToks that people investigate their own house, but I've seen TikToks people investigate their work, and it's like, you're at your work. That's probably not where you want stuff to be happening there either.
No, that's true. And, like, my studio, like, if I do Creeps and Cosmetics, every time I film Creeps and Cosmetics in my studio, which I'm in there right now, there's always activity. I always have to sage and like get out whatever's been in here.
Mm-hmm.
And so why would I want to do TikToks where I'm constantly saging the house? Like, it just makes no sense to me. I don't know. I just think, like Eilfie said, you put energy into something. If you start inviting one thing in, don't think it's one thing, boo. It's a revolving door, and it never closes. Never.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk to whatever's already in the house and, like, say hi and everything, do that stuff. But even I've, at times, been hesitant going, like, do I really want... Should I? Nah, we're good. We already have enough people in the house.
Should I? No.
There's already enough.
Oh, it's
We're
true.
already good.
It's true. Well, that and, like, I'll get, like, weird things, too. Like, I've had Ed Gein make an appearance in here, you know, a few times. And, like, who wants a serial killer in their house just chilling? You know, it's not as glamorous as you think it is. It's not. It's not glamorous, guys, okay? You know. I bet you my spirit guides are so sick of my shit at this point. They're just like, here goes Krystal bringing home Ed Gein again. We gotta help step in to get rid of him again.
In the corner. I need a vacation.
Literally, it's such dark. Why are we laughing? We're sick. Oh my god, it's dark humor. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us today. Eilfie, thank you again so much. I appreciate your face. We will see Eilfie, let's see, 2 weeks from now. Does that sound right?
Yep, I think so. Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
I have the agenda. Let me pull it up so that you guys know what we're doing here over the next couple of weeks. I actually emailed Kat and Eilfie the other day because I wanted to make sure I had my organization down. You know what I'm saying? It's nice to be organized and be able to, like, pay attention to what we're doing after.
I was like, what are we talking about this week again?
Yeah, I know.
Can't keep
we have
track.
so many there's a lot of topics. We do.
Oh,
we have
yeah.
a
lot of good ones.
I can't find it. Kat, what are we talking about next week? Crochet? Knitting for Chupacabra? I can't remember. Anyway, what next week is the last week of... I'm doing BTK with you in 2 weeks. I know that.
Yeah. I want to see a Bigfoot knitted, like, socks. I want to see Bigfoot knitted socks.
Oh my god, Eilfie wants Bigfoot knitted socks. There we go. You know?
There. I mean, come on. Bigfoot's just going to be totally, like, the hat, the scarf, the socks. Like, all their cryptos are going to be so jealous.
Oh my god, it's true. Can you imagine Mothman flying around with, like, a little beanie that's, like, tied to his chin just so it doesn't fly off during flight? You know what I mean? We have some good ideas.
God, that was so cute.
Oh my god, we're sick. Black Eyed Kids is next week. Ooh, that'll be a good one.
Yes.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. That'll be a real good one. Okay, Eilfie, thank you so much. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for BTK. Everybody make sure you follow Eilfie at Eilfie Music on Instagram and Twitter, or you can look for her in my following, who I follow in my followers. There we go. Spit it out, Krystal. Thank you, Eilfie. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
See y'all.
Bye, Eilfie. So I just want to chat with you guys for 1 minute and just tell you again, thank you for being so supportive with my book. It's been overwhelming to see you guys, share with me pictures when you're getting the book in. Like, I'm so giddy. Whenever you guys get a picture in of getting the book and you, like, tweet it at me or, like, send it to me on social media, like, I literally have, like, a screaming meltdown because I can't believe it's, like, a thing. It's a real thing. So... thank you so much. Make sure you're following us on social media. There's been merch that I know a ton of you guys have been buying merch. There's merch on the ghostgirlglam.com, but I also added the domain ghostgirldiaries.com. So you should be able to find it in a couple of days for ghostgirldiaries.com and look for the merch. There's going to be more merch. I'm going to put up some more merch for each holiday, and it's all going to be like Ghost Girl merch for each holiday. So I've got to start brainstorming some stuff for St. Patrick's Day since Valentine's is almost ordered, but there is a couple of things there. I also think I'm going to add to my website. I've had a lot of people messaging me about a book signing, and there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about that. I'm considering doing a book signing in the future once, Corona's over and, like, we're, like, not trapped in our houses anymore. So I'm considering that. I'm also considering adding a purchase on my website that you can buy a signed book. It is going to cost a little bit more because I have to buy the book out of pocket, get the book shipped to me, sign the book for you, and then ship the book to you. So obviously it's going to it's not just your typical regular book. So if that's something you guys are interested in, keep looking on my website. I'm going to have that updated. Obviously I've got more retail that's coming onto my website too. I've been getting some shipments in on really, really beautiful, awesome astrology jewelry that I'm excited to incorporate on my website as well, which will be Ghost Girl merch. And other than that, I just want to say thank you guys. Shout out to everybody. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. No questions, okay? And this will be uploaded as a podcast. It'll also be uploaded to YouTube probably tonight or tomorrow. So if you missed it, it will be live there. And as always, I will catch you guys next time. I will hopefully be getting some editing done for you guys for YouTube. I'm finally kind of coming back down from, finishing the book and stuff like that. So look out for the new episode on GGD for Cecil Hotel. I also think I'm going to start a new series for astrology on serial killers for the Ghost Girl Diaries channel. I think I'm going to start with serial killers that I've met in the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? Like Ed Gein. Maybe we'll start with Ed Gein and like Ted Bundy or something. And hopefully there'll be some new creeps and cosmetics that will be live soon. I just need to edit them. I haven't had the brain power to edit them after getting the book out. Like my brain was like mush, So make sure you guys are following me on social media. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, I will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.